The Iran war hit bridges this week. A nightclub in Bangkok killed 30 people because the exits were blocked. And the parasite we talked about last week is still spreading. 3 stories. All of them have something to teach you. I'm Skelly. It's Sunday. Let's do it. We have been covering the Iran war on this program since May. I want to use this week's update to do something slightly different. Not just tell you what happened, but zoom out and show you the full picture of where this conflict actually stands as of today. Because the week-by-week updates can obscure how much the situation has changed since we started tracking it. February 28th, the war begins. March through April, the Strait of Hormuz closes. May, a naval blockade. June 17th, a memorandum of understanding and a brief ceasefire. July 7th, ceasefire declared over. July 12th, Iran closes the strait again and launches missiles and drones against its Gulf neighbors. And this week, the U.S. military completed its 8th consecutive night of strikes on Iran. 8 nights in a row. On Friday, the U.S. struck bridges in Iran, and Iran responded by targeting U.S. bases in the Gulf, as fighting over control of the strait reignites fears of an all-out war. Iran responded by striking water desalination plants in Kuwait, damaging critical infrastructure in a country that is not party to the conflict. A water desalination plant in Kuwait. The overnight U.S. strikes also appeared to have destroyed a maritime control tower in the Iranian port of Jabara, a key commercial gate in the strait, with a photo of the bombed-out tower shared on social media by Secretary of Defense. I want to stay on the Kuwait water plant for a moment, because it illustrates something very important. Kuwait is a desert nation. Its population depends almost entirely on desalination for drinking water. When Iran struck that plant, it wasn't hitting a military target. It was hitting a mechanism by which 5 million people get water. Iran has been attacking ships that use a southern route through the Strait of Hormuz that hugs the coast of Oman, a route the U.S. has been urging commercial vehicles to use to avoid Iranian-controlled areas. Iran has declared this violates the Memorandum of Understanding signed last month. Meanwhile, India orders ship owners and operators not to deploy Indian seafarers on vessels traveling through the Strait of Hormuz amid renewed hostility. India is the world's 3rd largest supplier of seafarers, with more than 300,000 sailors working across the globe on shipping fleets. When India, a country with no direct stake in the conflict, starts pulling its sailors out of the area, that is a signal worth paying attention to. A ceasefire that briefly allowed oil exports to resume flowing, the June 17th MOU, crumbled in under 3 weeks amid disagreements over how traffic through the strait should be managed. Iran has been seeking to assert hegemonic control over the strait and collect fees on ships passing through, a position the U.S. has flatly rejected. And here is where this stands for you, particularly in the Ohio Valley today. The brief easing of gas prices we saw in late June and early July is over. The blockade is reinstated. The strikes are intensifying. The House Republicans cleared a $95 billion Iran war package this week, signaling that Congress is prepared for this to continue. Your fuel reserve, maintain it. Your food storage, build it. The September grocery price spike we warned about 3 weeks ago is still on track, and the geopolitical situation driving it has gotten materially worse this week, not better. 8 consecutive nights, and Skelly is afraid this story will continue. Story 2. and I want to handle this one with a gravity it deserves before I get to the prepping lessons, because 30 people died, and they deserve more than being reduced to a bullet point on the mainstream media. Shortly before midnight on Sunday, July 13th, a fire broke out at a Rong Bur Na Laparo bar in northern Bangkok, Thailand. It took approximately a half an hour for firefighters to bring it under control. By morning, at least 27 people were dead, and 25 were hospitalized in critical condition. The deadliest fire in Bangkok in 17 years. The death toll has now risen to 30. A singer who was performing nearby described what survivors told her. When the fire started, everything went dark. The power was out, and there was smoke everywhere, so they could not locate the other people. A woman named Nid came to the Forensic Institute to identify the bodies of her daughter and son-in-law. She said her daughter had just graduated and recently started working as a computer teacher, and now they're dead, she said. The bar claimed to accommodate as many as 600 customers. It was not clear how many were present that night. Police found that the bar had 4 exits, but were investigating whether the rear 2 exits were blocked or unusable. An exit near the restroom, where most of the victims were found, had a table blocking the way. Another, near the kitchen, had a damaged exit sign and a sliding door that was missing a handle. Experts who study venue fires say that death tolls in bars and nightclubs are often worsened because the spaces can resemble a maze, with tables and other obstacles blocking hallways and escape routes, while emergency exits are sometimes kept locked to prevent unauthorized entry or theft. Loud music and alcohol can leave patrons less aware and slower to respond when an emergency strikes. Here is what this story means for the prepping community, and I want to be direct about it because this lesson is simple and it saves lives. Every time you walk into a building, a restaurant, a bar, a concert venue, a movie theater, a church, a school, take 10 seconds to locate the exits. Not the exit you came in through, the other ones. Count them. Note where they are relative to where you're sitting. Look for signs. Look for doors. Ask yourself, if the lights went out right now and there was smoke in the room, which direction would I go? Fire safety experts note that most patrons are only familiar with the main entrance they use to come in. In an emergency, they run back towards that door they know, even when closer exits exist. The people who died near the restrooms in Bangkok were not far from an exit. The exit was there. It had a table in front of it. In the smoke and the dark and the panic, they couldn't find another way out. This is not about Bangkok specifically. A fire in a Swiss ski resort killed 40 people in early January of this year. A 2013 fire at a nightclub in Brazil killed more than 200. Bangkok itself lost 67 people in a New Year's Eve club fire in 2009. This happens. It's always happened, and it will happen again. The difference between the people who made it out and the people who don't is almost always the same thing. The people who made it out knew where the exits were before the emergency started. This is a prep skill. It costs nothing. It takes 10 seconds. Do it every single time. Story number 3. And for the Ohio Valley viewers, this one remains directly relevant. Last week, we covered the Cyclospora outbreak that has been spreading throughout Michigan and Northwest Ohio since late June. I want to give you a status update because the numbers have continued to move and the source remains largely unidentified. As of July 9th, Michigan alone has reported 1,251 cases, and the Michigan Department of Health updates its outbreak page daily. The source has still not been identified. As of July 10th, over 3,100 cases of cyclospora has been reported across 31 states nationally, according to the latest tally from ABC News, if you believe them. Michigan, New York, Ohio, Illinois, and North Carolina are among the states hit the hardest. In Ohio specifically, the Department of Health has reported at least 397 cases statewide in 2026, with 171 of those occurring since late June. Some people are asking, is this being taken seriously enough? Why hasn't a food source been named? Why is this still spreading? The CDC has stated it has no evidence of a single multi-state Cyclospora outbreak linking all reported cases. Meanwhile, investigators believe there may be multiple separate clusters with different sources rather than one contaminated product being distributed nationally. That makes identification significantly harder. Cyclospora surges are notoriously difficult to investigate because the parasite can appear in multiple food sources. Records of perishable products disappear quickly, and the lag between exposure and symptoms makes it hard for patients to recall exactly what they ate. The guidance has not changed from last week, but I'll repeat it because it's worth repeating. Avoid pre-washed bagged lettuce and salad mixes. Purchase whole heads of lettuce and remove the outer 2 or 3 leaves before washing the remaining leaves under running water. Cook leafy greens when possible. Wash cilantro and basil thoroughly. Separate the leaves under running water. If you or a family member develop persistent diarrhea that lasts for more than a few days without improvement, see a healthcare provider. Mention cyclospora specifically and ask for stool testing. The infection is treated with antibiotics. It is treatable. The key is catching it before it becomes weeks of serious illness. This outbreak started June 22nd. It is now nearly 4 weeks old and is still growing. The source is still unknown. Northwest Ohio is still affected. Stay aware, wash your produce, know your symptoms. This story is not over. That's your week. 7 consecutive nights, or 8 now, of U.S. strikes on Iran. Bridges targeted. Kuwait water desalination plant struck. India pulling sailors out of the strait. And a $95 billion war package cleared by Congress. 30 people died in a Bangkok bar fire because the exits were blocked, with the lesson that 10 seconds of exit awareness every time you walk into a building is one of the simplest and most effective preps you will ever do. And the Cyclospora outbreak is now covering 31 states, with over 3,100 cases nationally. Still spreading. Source still unidentified. 3 stories with one connecting thread this week, if you're looking for it. Systems fail. Infrastructure gets hit. Exits gets blocked. Parasites spread through the food supply. None of it announces itself in advance, and none of it waits for you to be ready. The prep is not about fear. It's about 10 seconds before a fire. The fuel stored before the blockade. The water saved before the desalination plant goes down. Small actions taken clearly before things happen. This has been your Skelly Report. Stay prepared. And remember to catch the 0 Hour podcast tomorrow night on the Ohio Valley Prepping Channel with our guest and co-host, Half-Ass Ready, as well as our special guest, Leonard Mountain Homesteading. Always nice to see Chris and Amy. This is Skelly. We'll see you next week. Assuming we're all still here. Hey guys, all of our videos now are sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Emergency food, water filtration, solar generations, and more. Go check them out. Link down in the description. And if you use that link, yeah, we do make a few pennies, but helps us keep doing what we're doing. Thanks a lot, guys. Go check them out.